Well, folks, this is it. The final episode review of Season 7. Episode 22, Had It Coming. Now, it's kind of like I said on Twitter last night. It wasn't a fantastic finale, but it was a rather decent episode. Basically, where if this was anything but the season finale, see, if this was the penultimate episode, I think this would have worked, and then the next episode would have been the finale. But there was a lot of setup. It's like a lot of plot points we'll see get followed up on once season 8 starts. But for the most part, this episode was kind of meh. Better than last week, I'll tell you that. It was definitely better than last week, but it just didn't have that it factor that made me go, oh dang, okay, I can't wait for season 8. I think I speak for a majority of the fan base when I say that, you know what, we finally made it to the finish line, and I think we all need a break right now. We don't need Sistas to come back in 2 weeks. We don't we don't even need it to come back in 2 months. If it doesn't come back until 2025, I think we'll be good. I think we all need a bit of a palate cleanser for what we just sat through. And I know this is an unpopular opinion. I could tell by the responses to my tweets, but I'm like, okay, I know Hayden is a weasel, a slime ball, and this, that, and the third, but did the man have to take as many L's in a single episode as he did? It's like it was one after another. If you bear with me 1 second, let me find it in my notebook. I actually wrote it down this morning when I was coming up my video list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, he got at least 6 L's in this episode. When Andy swoops in at the 11th hour with the intel that helped Marie win her case. When Marie basically dismissed him for the room so she and Andy could have alone time. When Marie went to invite him to a congratulatory, like a lunch date or whatever, and he tried to, he tried to kind of puff his chest out in terms of using blackmail, and she basically shut him down. Then when he tries to, get on Andy's case, and she basically reveals that she's making partner, and he just leaves with his, tail between his legs. Then when he gets home and finds out about the Tamara affair, and then he calls Gary and the dude is still lying to him. So actually, let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 L's. And I mean, they were just humongous L's. It's just ridiculous to me that, good grief, spread it around a little bit more. But to be fair, it's like Hayden, he was asking for all of that stuff. But I'll cover that in a video in its, in itself. But dang, and I got to say, Chris's acting to me, it was the standout of the episode. Like I said, like with Cheeto, definitely the MVP of actor for the season. But in this episode, I think for the most part, Hayden carried it. I love the Miss Marie scenes too, but I think for the most part, Hayden carried the episode. I mean, you can let me know what you think in the comments, but Chris's performance is one of the reasons why the episode scored as high as it did. Pam looking good in the pink, but okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Before moving forward, thanks to everybody who came out to the live stream. I think around the peak of the live, we had around 500 people, and that was good. Pretty good live stream to close out the season. I might do another live later this week or next week, just to kind of follow up on suspects and things like that for what happened at the end of the episode. Side note, and I'm not saying any names, but on Twitter, there was someone who tagged me in a tweet, and they actually uploaded some clips of the episode. I don't know how maybe they watched it on Apple TV or something. I don't know, because I watch it live via YouTube TV. And basically, they finished the episode like 30 minutes before I did, and they pretty much spoiled the ending for me. So if you could refrain from doing that in the future episodes, like when you tag me on Twitter because you saw the episode early, that would be helpful. But okay, let's get into it. The first scene, we pick up where we left off, where Rich is pretty much, this man is ready to just whip his thing out and put in the sperm in order to prevent Damani from doing so, because he wants to step up and, be the man that Sabrina has, children with. And Damani is, just stunned by this. And even the doctor's like, okay, hey, okay, this is really unorthodox. Miss Hollins, you have about a week in order to make a decision before, this whole process is, inert. So I'll give you some time to work things out, and we'll keep Damani's sperm on standby, and we'll go from there. So later in the episode, we have Rich over at Sabrina's place, and they're talking about, the situation at hand. To me personally, the standout moment is when Sabrina says she loves Rich. And I gotta say, I did like Rich's line. Like, I know this is going to sound off when I say it, but I love you more than I don't want to have kids. So if it means, having kids because you want them, I promise I'll step up and be a father. I thought that was weirdly sweet. But my main question is this. Is Rich stepping up because he truly wants? And Sabrina does make a point to ask. It's like, this isn't something that can be reversed. Like, if you want to be a father, this isn't something you can just change your mind about after, I'm already pregnant and whatnot. I mean, technically there is, but we're not getting into that. So it's either, you're all in or you're not. And Sabrina's like, I gave you every opportunity. I still call bull on that because they did have a conversation. Well, remember how this all started. She comes back drunk from brunch, like in episode 2. Give me your sperm. Yeah, give me your sperm. It's like, wait, what? And then they have a talk about it. And he says he doesn't want to have kids. So then they have the conversation at the juice bar, and they reveal their different stances on, being parents. And they said they would kind of take it slow. They wouldn't just break up on the spot, even though, let's be honest here, Rich seemed pretty adamant about how he felt, and Sabrina felt, was adamant about how she felt about having kids. And if that's the case, you honestly should just break things off with a person like that, because if you all are, doing good together in the present, but you don't see a similar future for yourselves, it might be best to kind of break things off before you go any further. And Rich pretty much said, how about this? We'll kind of see how things play out over the short term. And if maybe one of us changes our minds, we'll check in with the other one. And then we go a couple episodes later, I believe Sabrina came into the juice bar, and Rich was like having his moment. He's like, hey, babe, I just got approval for the second shop. He was expanding, having a second juice bar. And he was just all ecstatic, looking, showing her the blueprints, like, oh, I had to show my lady first. And then I believe a customer walked in holding a baby, and then Sabrina, out of the blue, I'm going to freeze my eggs. Yes, I'm going to have a baby by myself. She literally just sprung it on Rich out of nowhere. And he was like just supposed to accept it in a moment. And remember, they didn't discuss this. This is something she just sprung on him because she had an emotional reaction to a woman coming in with a kid and just had baby fever. And I mean, yeah, how was Rich supposed to just react to that? Remember, it was that funny scene where he's like, you know what, I got to go back to work. It's pretty busy in here. And there was like maybe 1 or 2 customers in there. And there was already somebody at the front, at the register. So it's like, okay, this is awkward. But yeah, Sabrina made that decision herself, and it was really selfish. I'm sorry. Yes, she has every right to decide whether or not she wants to have kids. Don't get me wrong. But the fact that you agreed to kind of compromise with Rich in order to, like, see how things play out, for a little, maybe over the next few weeks, if not a couple of months. But no, you said at that random moment, oh, I'm going to freeze my eggs. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And Rich was just supposed to be cool with it. So I don't like the fact she said, you had every opportunity, but whatever. So in any case, he does want to step up and be a father. And I did like how he broke it down. And it really goes back to the conversation Tony had with Rich last week or the week before last regarding, look, I mean, I know you say you don't want to have kids, but think of it this way. You really love Sabrina. She's a looker. She's successful. She's driven. You all, go well together. And what's so wrong about having kids with her? And I think of it this way, you're doing good in your business, you're expanding, she got promoted at her job. So it seems to me like, I get it, kids aren't for everyone, but if there was anyone to have a child with, it seems like you found a good fit. So I like how, he had that conversation to enlighten Rich. And I like how the friend of his who has kids gave him insight in terms of what it's like to have kids. And well, Rich pretty much said, well, another reason I didn't want to have kids is because I don't think I've ever met the right woman to have children with. So it looks like they're going to maybe work things out. But the thing is, are they going to do it where he gets her pregnant within the next week because the doctor said 7 days? Or is it a situation where it's like, hey, I want to have kids with you, but like not at this moment, like not right now, that kind of thing. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and find out. So from there, man, I kind of want to skip over the other stuff. I guess I'll do the Hayden stuff at once. But in any case, oh yeah, Zach and Fatima only get a couple of scenes this episode. They kind of take a back seat. Essentially, we had the sneak peek scene where Fatima tells Zach about confronting Gary, leading to her getting getting physical with the security. Zach is ready to risk it all if it means getting revenge because, yo, he crashed my baby shower. He disrespected, my baby mama. He disrespected you, and he got to pay. And then from there, basically, Fatima's like, look, babe, we're going to do it my way, all right? So then later in the episode, she gets a phone call from Madam. And it turns out that she's busy with a situation or another job. And once she's done, she can help out, on Fatima's, with what Fatima needs. And Karen actually calls Zach because the girls are having a little meeting. But before that, I'm sorry, not to jump too far ahead. Tony visits Danny with 11 roses, which I do find interesting because it's a great callback to the last time he made a half-assed attempt to apologize with only one pitiful rose after going off on her about, the vape pen, I believe. No, or was it the fuzzy handcuffs? Yeah, the fuzzy handcuffs his daughter took from the apartment. And this time around, he brought 11 to make it 12. And basically says that, hey, I should have put up boundaries and whatnot. But Tiffany's leaving. She's being stationed in Italy, and the kids are going with her. So I like how Danny pointed out, so is the only reason you're coming over here to apologize and kind of make amends is because I'm like the consolation prize because all your other quote unquote distractions are gone. So I'm the only person you have left to fall back on. So there's that. And he does say he's going to help the kids pack and he'll be back in a few days. Some people are like, Tony's gone. No, he's in season 8. And remember, he said he'll be back in a few days. So while it might not take long to pack, it's probably one of those situations where Tony's going to focus on spending the last or the next few days with his children before they go off, to another continent. So I can see why it's like, hey, Danny, I'm going to get my kids situated, make sure Tiffany and them are, good to go. And that'll be it. Then I'll come back and I'm all yours. That's what I'm thinking. He did say a few days. So maybe he is going to Italy briefly with the family to make sure they're all settled, and then he's going to come back. That's a possibility too. But regardless, Sabrina and Danny then go over to Karen's place, and they're all having a powwow about what to do about the Gary and Andy situation, because apparently somehow Karen saw Andy's calendar. Oh, I'm thinking it's electronic, like the phone or whatever, like the calendar app. But remember, the girls were at the penthouse for the baby shower. So it's possible that Karen, got a glimpse of the calendar while she was over there and knew that today was the big day. Or tonight was the big night because of the calendar. And then the girls are just talking about what they can do about this. They're going over all the options, like why this is happening. Honestly, I like that Sabrina pretty much said, like, maybe she really just loves Gary. I mean, we've seen her do this multiple times already. So is it really out of the ordinary for her to just regress, go back to Gary and want to marry him? I mean, look at the beginning of season 3 during that surprise pop-up wedding. But then Karen's like, no, that's not it. And Danny takes a hit of that pen and she's like, what if, wait, Gary, there was investigation, right? What if he wants to marry Andy? That way, being his spouse, she won't be able to testify against him. And the fact that the girls dismiss it, and I'm thinking, Danny has been correct about Andy twice. It's like once she takes a drink or a smoke or a puff, she knows all and sees all. Remember at the baby shower, Andy, I know where you've been for the past 2 weeks. You're a spy, aren't you? You're a spy. And I'm like, Go back to the first part of season 7. Her and Penelope doing like that spy work. You know, she's contacting PIs and whatnot. Yeah, Andy was kind of like a spy, Nancy Drew. And then in this case, she correctly called out Gary's intentions, yet Sabrina and Danny and Karen were acting like Danny was the crazy one. But the takeaway from this scene was when Karen said, no, that can't be it. Andy is smart and strategic. She wouldn't fall for that. And I'm thinking to myself, Karen, where have you been all season? Andy has clearly not been displaying any of those characteristics you just described. But in any case, we go over to Zach and Fatima's again. And like I said, Madam's busy with another job. But Karen calls Zach, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And then, Karen calls Zach to talk to Fatima. And she asked to be, hey, talk to her and put it on speaker because Danny needs help too. And he's like, no, this seems like a setup. Well, here's the thing. We need your help finding Andy because tonight's the wedding and whatnot, and we need to know where it is. And apparently Fatima knows because she got the email. It makes sense because, she's her assistant. The email with a reminder of the location and the event. So then Fatima, says, no, Andy said that she wanted to keep it away from you all, and I want to respect her wishes. And maybe this is what she wants to do. And they finally get to Fatima and she says, I'll text you the address. And then from there, the girls said they're going. And then Fatima goes and gets her duffel bag and Zach's like, wait, what's this? Hey, we're going to, and we're going to handle things my way. So follow my lead. Okay, Suge wife. So they head out. Also, side note, I don't believe either of these two are responsible for what happened at the end. So earlier in the episode, and I hate to say it, but now we got to get to the head count of Hayden L's. Marie comes in furious because, look, time's up. Is my fortune saved or not? Hayden doesn't have the evidence. Andy swoops in and has a folder with everything. Basically, it turns out that the accountant, the money funneled to the accountant was nothing but more than a smokescreen because in reality, here's more money going to this male fixation page. And basically, this evidence could squash Roger's public, persona. Because remember, even if he was just like maybe some regular random person, him being connected to Marie, and if this story got out, it would ruin his personal life forever. So Andy's very confident that once this information is presented, he will just walk away with not a cent after this divorce. Marie is ecstatic. Hayden is just dumbfounded, and Marie tells him to leave the room. So from there, Marie is happy, and Andy, reveals that, the whole Gary situation. At first, she doesn't want to do it, but it's like, look, you just helped me. Yeah, it was on a professional, perspective, but tell me what's going on. So she describes everything about Gary, and at this point, it's a situation where Marie says, don't worry about it. I'm going to help you because you helped me. So from there, she goes into Hayden's office to invite him to a congratulatory lunch. He pretty much, is pissed off about the fact that, what was it all about? You kicked me out of the office so you two can have a girl moment. And she's like, look, business is business, and she delivered and you didn't. It's simple as that. So let's go to this lunch. And then from there, Hayden was kind of feeling himself. You always coming up in my office begging. And it's like, what do you mean begging? You're lucky I gave you the time of day. You're lucky that I even considered you an option because you were available. So what's it going to be? And then he even goes so far as to say, what about the bloggers that they found out that you're getting back shots from your lawyer in between meetings about your divorce? And she's like, I'm a grown ass woman. I'll put my business out there before you can. And let me tell you something. If I put my business out there, let me just say that I'll also put in the intel about all the little kinky things you're into. And if I do, oh, you'll never recover from that. And Hayden's just like, he doesn't say anything. So long, Hayden. Boom. L number 3. So after that, Andy has a brief meeting with one of the partners, Mr. Benson. And he basically says, hey, you know what? Marie came to us and gave you a stellar review, and we want to make you the new partner. And Andy's just stunned by this, but she's like, hey, just know that the plan is to make you a partner, but negotiations will have to be done, meaning that this isn't going to be immediate. And if I remember correctly, based off the episode 8 information I did see, episode 20 is entitled Boss Lady. So I believe late season 8 is when Andy gets the official title. So after Mr. Benson leaves, Andy is just, ecstatic, and she starts dancing, and KJ, oh my goodness, those girls, I'm like, Sky, you are a lucky man. So she's just dancing, and Hayden, looking from the outside in, is hating. So he invites himself in to try to call her out. Like, look, just so you know, in case the partners ask about what went down, just say that I dragged your ass across the finish line. Basically, like with Marie, he's acting like he has the power in the room, only to quickly get deflated the moment that Andy lists off the names of the partners, including Barnes, and he's like, no. Oh, yes, just so you know, your days are numbered. And from now on, you're going to report to me. And Hayden just, again, leaves defeated. And Andy does a few more moves and then sits in the chair. It's kind of ironic because that same, the gesture she made where she kind of plopped in the chair, looking up, just ecstatic, reminded me of season 2 after she got the promotion, after the lawsuit and everything, and the $1.5 million settlement. So essentially, Andy's on cloud 9 right now. So also, while Marie is kind of, checking with the secretary before she, leaves the law firm. Also, Mr. Benson did mention from this point forward, anytime Marie has any legal issues, she's coming to the firm. Pam accidentally bumps into her and looking fine in that pink. I guess Pam had a meeting with me about her, business LLC and whatnot. And it turns out Marie loves Roots to Riches so much that she wants to be an investor. And I'm happy for her. So 2 things about Andy and Pam. Number 1, Andy needs to find Maurice and give that man a huge hug. Because if not for the intel that he had, because it just so happened Roger was on his fixation page, Andy would not have gotten that win. And also, let's be honest here, if Andy didn't get that intel, we know Hayden didn't have it. So Marie would have probably left the law firm pissed off. And then they both would have lost. So Maurice was definitely a key player in Andy getting this win. But also, some people are like, oh, Andy needs to break Maurice a piece off that money and what. No. The thing is this. This is Maurice's, way of paying back Andy for the role she played in him getting out of jail and whatnot. Because even though she didn't do it directly, remember, Andy asked Robin to talk to people to set bail for Maurice, and $1.5 million was the best that could happen. And then from there, I believe she facilitated the meeting with D.A. Burke with Sabrina Maurice to reveal that, hey, this case is whack, it's ridiculous, it's easily a setup, so we're going to let you off the hook. So Andy did play a huge role, in helping Maurice. So I think this is Maurice helping Andy. And, again, a hug between the two I feel is good enough. And then when it comes to Pam, look, you're about to get, an investment from a billionaire. And if Marie gives you a sizable chunk of money, the first thing Pam needs to do is pay Karen back. Pay off the credit card, pay them past due bills and whatnot, and then from there negotiate a situation with Karen like, hey, if I continue to do Roots to Riches from the shop. And let's be honest here, if Marie donates enough money, Pam ought to just, again, pay back Karen first and foremost. Get her own place, like get a, a little shop or whatever and make Roots to Riches from there. Get her own business going. But if she does stay at the salon, work out a deal with Karen for, product storage and distribution, things like that. That's what I think. But in any case, it was definitely ladies' night this episode because, man, the men were just taking L's all across the board. So from there, we go over to Hayden returning home. Bad day, of course. Tamara's just, on the couch on the phone. And he's catching an attitude with her about, you don't even clean the house or nothing. And then, he gets so upset that he grabs the phone. And Tamara's, just freaking out about it. And here's the thing, Tamara, why did you keep that stuff on that particular phone? Wasn't it a few episodes ago when Hayden mentioned the fact that you're very private about that phone? It's like, well, oh, you're going to confront me about this pubic hair? What about your phone? Yeah, you got silent. That's when she should have, like, I don't know, moved that stuff to the cloud or flash drive or something, because you knew he was going to get his hands on that phone at some point. So when he eventually does see the, the footage and whatnot, he confronts her about, like, when, how long has this been going on? How many times y'all have been, hooking up? And she's like, well, once, okay, a couple of times he came on to me, and then I met up with him, to try to stop him. And then I tried to blackmail him for, like, money so we could, no, don't make it about, you did this for me. And it's like, I trusted you after everything. I brought you back into my life and this, that, and the third. And I'm thinking, like, but Hayden, you cheated too. But let's forget about that. I mean, you could argue like, well, I was doing that for us. If I was on Marie's good side and I won the case, then that means a huge financial windfall and, we'd be winning. But hey, you lost. So in any case, he ends up kicking her out of the house, and then she just storms off. But here's the thing, though. She mentions, like, there's no ring on this finger, so I don't know the continuity of this. Like, we know Tamara showed up in, episode 2 or something, and I guess they were still technically married. But then when he went over to the hotel room, I was married for, 2 minutes. And then when Tamara confronted Marie and Hayden, I'm his girlfriend. And now it's like, I don't see a ring on this finger. So what exactly are they doing at this point? Like, are they just roommates at this point? And this is why, they're both fooling around like, oh, well, technically we're not married. I'm very confused by this. So Hayden gets in his car. He's crying. He calls Gary about, so what's up, man? Where you at? Oh, man, I'm getting married. To Andy? Yeah. I thought you wanted to ruin her life. Oh, I did. And now I want to marry her. Oh, okay. So where you at? Want to pull up? Yeah, let me get you the address. It's like, bring Tamara too. Nah, we ain't seeing eye to eye right now. Hey, didn't I tell you she was trash, man? You couldn't trust her. All right. So now he's pissed off. So we know Hayden's going to the venue. So at this point, we know Hayden's going. We know Danny, Sabrina, Karen, Zach, Fatima. That's 7. I mean, that's 6 right there. So on her way, I guess, to get ready for the event, Andy calls Jordan, basically saying, hey, next time you see me, I'm going to be married to Gary, and thank you for the recommendation to Marie, because if not for you, I wouldn't have gotten this case to begin with. And then she's like, thanks for everything, and I love... Oh, never mind, I couldn't say that. That was bad. So then Jordan finds out, so we know he's on the way. So that's 7 people. And the reason he shows up, he said he followed Gary's henchmen, so I guess that refers to Hudson, perhaps, I guess. So here's what we know. As soon as she gets to the venue, Andy's in her dress looking great. She talks to Gary, who doesn't believe in the bad luck of seeing the bride or groom before the ceremony. She tries one last time to plead to his obvious lack of humanity. Look, we don't have to do this. I won't testify you. I'll figure something out. Just please don't destroy Jordan and don't make me go through with this. He demands she signs the wedding certificate. She's like, hey, how about we just wait until the ceremony's over, okay? All right, you and your girls better not try nothing crazy. Now go get ready. So while she's waiting, out there with Hudson, the girls roll up. And Karen says something interesting. Well, I know you wouldn't want to be recorded dragging a pregnant woman out, of this venue. And I'm thinking to myself, Karen, if you only knew what happened to the last pregnant woman who confronted Gary. So Hudson goes to get Gary. And then the girls just call out Andy for the BS. They know this isn't real. They know Gary has something on her. And Andy, that's your lying face. Okay, Sabrina. So Jordan actually pops up on the scene, and he has a moment with Andy. The girls step out and like, I'm about to left eye this whole place. I got the gasoline. And Sabrina's like, I got the match. So Jordan pretty much tries to figure out what's going on. I got your voicemail. You don't have to do this. And Andy kind of sort of says this is to protect him. And it's like, look, don't worry about it. Let's just run away together. We'll start over. You don't have to do this. So he's like, look, Andy, I'll fight for you. So he just leaves. And I'm thinking, like, is he going to confront Gary? What is he planning to do? And then we get this strange montage. Like, first of all, I admire the fact that we are utilizing flashbacks in this moment. But somebody in the live stream was like, look at that Tubi montage. And I can't lie, I was laughing very hard at that. Reading over it again this morning, because it just fits so well. I'm like, yeah, it definitely felt like a Tubi scene. And it was showing scenes from what, like season 2 onward, but I hate to say it, but I've said it many times before. It's just that I don't feel that chemistry between Andy and Jordan to the point where I felt something during this montage scene, as opposed to just, you know, the comedic aspect of, dang, I mean, when you really think about it, 90% of the montage was simply Gary and Andy. And I want to say like nothing but the bad times, but she makes a point to clearly remember the way she felt when she first got the penthouse. So I don't know. But then, you know, she's waiting at the altar for who knows how long with Hudson. And, well, I'm no woman, but I'm pretty sure Andy would be pretty upset standing there for however long in those heels. So Hudson said, I'll go find him. And he's like, no. She was like, no, I'm going to do it. So she goes to his the back room where he was getting ready to perform, was ranting and raving, but then turns around, sees a knife in his chest. She has a moment where she's looking like relieved, and then she just starts fake screaming, ah, and that was it. And I was laughing myself just into a frenzy because of how Andy reacted to that. So there are so many questions, like who stabbed him? Did Andy do it earlier, but, you know, acted like she didn't? Did she black out? Is it a dream? This, that, and the third. But hey, that's a discussion for another video. But folks, like I said, this was not a terrible episode. It's just that it wasn't that great of a finale. Remember what I said about the If Loving You Is Wrong series finale? I'm like, man, this episode made for a great season finale, but it definitely did not work as a series finale. I kind of felt like the same thing here in terms of this being better if this was like the penultimate episode as opposed to the season finale, because if nothing else, this episode summed up season 7 pretty well. All show, no substance. And like I said during the live stream, in good faith, I can't call this the worst season of the show, but I honestly don't even know how I'd rank it so far. You know, at this moment, I think I need a little bit of time to let season 7 marinate, if you will. Just sit with it for a little bit. And I'll try to do my retrospective video by next week. I don't want to rush it. And that video is going to be very detailed, probably close to an hour long, where I talk about just season 7 as a whole, my thoughts on the writers and every little thing. But yeah, this was quite the journey. So with that being said, thanks so much for tuning in, especially if you made it this far into the video. As I mentioned before, please like and subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next one.